Good evening, folks. Thank you for your patience. We had something come up over the weekend that we had to deal with in executive session, so it delayed our open session coming to fruition. So I appreciate your patience and your understanding. With that, I'd like to open this session, and again, in accordance with the open meeting law, the board states for the record that this meeting is being recorded by NORCAM and may be recorded by other local media. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank you very much. Quickly, board member reports. Mr. Massey?
Mr. Chairman, a few different things here. First, I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Nice to see you all here in person, to wish it to you, and as well as my colleagues, of course. Fire Station Building Committee, a couple committees I'm a part of as liaisons that are more busy than others, so a couple here just to highlight the update. For the Fire Station Building Committee, letters will be getting sent out to about 15 to 16 different properties along the area in which the survey recommended us to place a fire station on the west side of town. We are sending the letter much later than anticipated. Either way, we're moving forward by memorializing our interest in properties to purchase along Main Street. This land acquisition will end up being the bottleneck to the project and should be considered the #1 priority in regards to keeping this project on schedule. It is up to North Reading to grasp our hands around this urgency. Working with the architect and the OPM, also to evaluate the agreed upon criteria for what properties best fit for the programming that is completed. Veterans Events Committee, I may have missed it to talk about it at the last meeting, but Reach Across America was a tremendous ceremony that was held at Riverside Cemetery on Saturday, December 13th with a large crowd, and all that jumped in to help out by dispersing the wreaths in what appeared to be record timing. As always, kudos to the committee for their work, the chairman, Rich Stratton, for hosting the ceremony. Nice to have you sitting right next to me for that. And of course, some special shout outs for Lori Martinez and Roberto Sanchez for their hard work on that specific event. They definitely took the charge, so I know Lori's here. Thank you, Lori. I want to talk a little bit, Mr. Chairman, about lawsuits in town. I tend to try and settle things in the background or request things in the background at first. But when I do not get responded to from our town administrator or chairman, I'm forced to make these requests public. Similar to the bylaw recodification committee, that we were not following our bylaws for several years, I didn't get responded to and forced us to take action by making these issues public. Here I want to mention that on April 16th, 2025, I sent an email to the town administrator and the chairman, knowing that Chapter 5-2 of the bylaws in North Reading require that the select board provide an annual report which should state the actions that have been brought against or on behalf of the town, what's been settled, and the current standing of all suits at law involving the town. I asked when and how we are going to issue this report. It was noted to me that North Reading has not followed through on this since 2018 or 2019. I believe that this is information that not only should be shared with the public and the community about where our tax dollars are at risk, but also to your selectmen. And I think the selectmen, as the chief executive officers of the town, should be aware of where our money is at risk. We need to put a bow on this as soon as possible, and the select board needs to understand where we are at with lawsuits, to understand the financial risk we may have, as well as understanding, I'll skip that part, but ultimately just wanted to bring this to our attention. We were sworn in to uphold the bylaws in North Reading. You see me say that just about once a month at this point, so I take what I was sworn into very seriously, and I think we need to start circling around some documents to understand the current lawsuits in town. That'll do it for me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Studo? All set? Mrs. Moran?
Just a quick update. Given the recent fire incidents in town, the COA and the library, the library and the fire department are going to be collaborating on bringing forth an educational set of information for the citizens at large and the citizens of Martin Landing on what to do in an event of a fire emergency, creating muster points, creating kind of a protocol on how to respond. During the last incident at Martin's Landing, there were some people outside. They were standing in the cold. They weren't sure if they should be in front of the building, where they should gather to allow the emergency personnel to get through. So we're going to create a comprehensive educational set of materials with the fire department's support and best practices on what to do, and then Martin Landing residents can implement it as they see fit, and then we'll have a more comprehensive educational set of materials for the town as a whole.
Excellent. Anything else? Mr. Wallner?
Okay, thank you. So in the absence of a sewer that we've looked at in the past years, I'm proposing a new business that we create a North Reading Wastewater Exploratory Committee. We've talked about this in the strategic meeting, and I'd like to bring it forward that we can actually formalize this committee. The primary function of the North Reading Wastewater Exploratory Committee is to explore alternative modes of wastewater processing by exploring the viability of creating large-scale packaged treatment plants throughout the Main Street corridor and throughout the potential extension of the Andover sewer pipe into North Main Street if capacity is available. So I've sent a draft already. I'm hoping by the next meeting we can do a first reading on that and get this committee going, because there's no time to waste when it comes to this issue.
I believe the chairman of the planning commission too is on board, Mr. Pierce.
Yes.
Wants the planning commission to play a major role.
Participate,
Play a major role, so it's,
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at
it's time.
the members being a CPC member, which would be him, a select board member, town planner, town administrator, DPW director, and 2 North Reading citizens. First reading,
Yep.
for us to discuss. So I think we're all in agreement about making that happen.
very good.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. I too would like to wish everybody a happy new year, and again, thank my colleagues in the community for having a very successful 2025. We've got an awful lot accomplished, and we have an awful lot on our plate for this year, as evidenced by even some of our agenda items this evening. So again, a happy new year to everybody. Hopefully happy and healthy and prosperous new year. I'd also like to acknowledge the passing of Michael DeBerto's dad over the holidays. Offer our condolences to Michael and his family, and I know the outreach that you received was heartwarming, and I just wanted to say personally that, the tribute that you paid to your dad at his funeral through the eulogy was really very touching and very, very nice, and a great tribute to your dad and a testament to the life that he led. And I thought especially the message that you delivered to your children and your nieces and nephews was very poignant. And again, I offer the condolences of the board, as we did at the time, of the services, but also of the community, and sorry for your loss.
Thank you very much.
On a more happy note, I just want to note our appreciation and acknowledgement of one individual who's here and tolerates us very, very well, and is a very patient and individual who brings a lot of sunshine and smiles to our faces and to our meetings and to our daily work life here in Town Hall, and we have our interactions with her all the time. It just happens to be that you're all here to celebrate Annie's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you everyone.
But truly, she is one of the most patient individuals I have ever met. And again, she's put in a full year with us now, and she's still here, which we're very fortunate, and we hope she should. And look at the smile. She's always smiling. And again, when we come in here, pulling our hair out, she's a comforting individual and just does a magnificent job for us. And we very
Who's
much-
supposed to
we
get
very
the
much
balloons?
appreciate you.
The balloons? No one?
The other thing I'd like to bring up is that, public's aware of the board, we had one strategic planning meeting, and we have agreed to continue on because we never finished our business, so at some point, we're gonna have to set a second date to continue on with our strategic planning meeting. I just don't wanna lose sight of that and ensure that we get that completed. Additionally, I want to acknowledge the fire department and the response that they had, not just at Martin's Landing, but just this couple of days ago on Haverhill Street. House fire there, the response was fantastic, saved the structure, but a lot of damage. And I know there's a GoFundMe page for the individual on the community page who could use some assistance, so please check in on that and see if we can help our neighbor who had a loss there, is gonna be displaced for several months. And then additionally, I'd like to just acknowledge that tomorrow we're gonna be having a swearing in of Sean O'Brien as a new fire captain. Sean, of course, been a member of the department for a number of years here, but is also the son of former Fire Chief O'Brien, and has a long family history, along with a lot of other members of the department who are firefighters. And again, Sean's just a terrific individual, been working very hard over these years to earn his stripes, and I just want to congratulate him, and I hope to be there tomorrow morning for this swearing in. With that, I'm all set.
Oh, can I just add one thing? Our town nurse, Pamela Merrill, she announced that we're doing a vaccination tomorrow, Wednesday, not tomorrow, from 5 to 8 at Town Hall, and it's for flu vaccinations, which, if you've been watching the news at all, it's pretty serious. So if you haven't got it yet, please come. You don't have to sign up ahead of time. You can come, and it's for ages 3 and up. So please come and get your flu vaccine.
And we're in the middle of flu season, and it's not too late to get it.
Not
So-
too.
All right, public comment. Anybody have any public comment? Please step up, identify yourself, name and address, and Mr. Fillmore.
Patricia Fillmore, 24 Fieldcrest Terrace, North Reading. And I said I wasn't going to talk tonight or ask any questions, public comment. But when I heard Mr. Wallner talk about the water and the sewer, and thought about the money that we wasted on the sewer, $3 million, I think it was, or pretty darn close to it.
2.9.
Yeah, I mean, are you gonna do this with the same thing, as the same thing? I mean, we have a fire department that has to be done.
Good. Direct it through the chair and just whatever your comments are.
Okay, Stephen, we've had a fire department that has to be done, a senior center that has to be done, and a number of other things. But to waste that money, and I say it's a waste right now, is crazy, especially after you wasted approximately $3 million on the sewer.
Mr. Newell?
Good evening, everyone. Jeff Ewell, 427 Park Street. First of all, Happy New Year to each of you. May you have a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2026 personally, and for the town as well. I just have something I want to ask about. I saw that you have a special committee to review and recodify the bylaws. Maybe shame on me, but I wasn't aware of it. Is the public allowed to be part of that? Because I don't see anybody from the private sector being a part of that. So is that possible?
We've already formed the committee, and it's going to be primarily administrative staff who will be reporting to the board, I believe, in August?
I'd have to check that
Yeah,
time.
I think it's by August, because the charter calls for something to be done by a certain date,
Right.
I think October. It's already been, the appropriate administration personnel who are responsible for implementing bylaws are all on the committee. So the task is to review the bylaws, see if they're still functioning and see if they're still useful, make any suggestions as to whether or not they should be done away with or modified based upon operational functioning properly, and then a report will be given to the board. Probably before August, by August it's a deadline, but they can give an update prior to, and then the board will act on it, and if need be, we'll have it for October town meeting, when we
Through you, Mr.
do the
Chairman.
bylaws.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. So the public itself has no ability to have any input on the bylaws within this town?
You're more than welcome to have input, absolutely, but we have a committee formed to do the reviewing, so you're more than welcome to provide any information or suggestions or recommendations through the town administrator's office to the committee to review. If you have strong feelings about a bylaw, one or the other, do away with it or modify it, by all means. Provided through the town administrator's office, and it'll be reviewed by this committee in conjunction with their review of the bylaws themselves.
Okay, so, to you, Mr. Chair, that means that the community has no say in the decision-making.
No, the community has all the say in this decision-making as far as the bylaws themselves. They have to be approved through town meeting. Any changes, recommendations or changes, or new bylaws are all approved through town meeting. Always.
So, to you, Mr. Chair, so what you're saying is we have to wait till someone else comes up with a plan, and then we either have to poo-poo it, or we have to support it, or make recommendations without any input from the special review committee, without any input from them to know how they came to their conclusions, and to find out if we're wasting our time or not.
No. But anyway, again, this isn't for debate, but no, the process is going to be, this committee's going to review the bylaws, the current bylaws as they stand. There will be recommendations made to the select board in public hearing and public session in relation to any suggested recommendations for changes or deletions or additions moving forward. And then if there's any need for any changes, there'll be a warrant article to do it, there'll be public hearings, and then town meeting make the determinations
Okay.
whether to support it or not.
Just
So,
one last,
And again, if anybody in the public has any suggestions for specific bylaws that they'd like to see changed or updated, by all means, please forward it through the town administrator's office.
so, to you, Mr. Chair, just one last comment. I think that if I were able to make an amendment to this bylaw that we have, and this commission, is that they should require citizens, one or two, whatever the case might be, to be included in the process making, rather than reacting to the consequences or the results of that. So that's something that I would look at, and I think it's worth looking at. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. Simons?
Jeff Simons, 31 Hickory Lane. Paying attention to the recent override votes in Stoneham and Melrose, following that somewhat. Seems that their process was a bit different than the way that we've run our operating overrides in the past, and I was curious to get your input about that. They were able to work on those for quite a few months, it seems. That they had some failed overrides prior year, and then I don't know when their fiscal year starts, but it seemed that they had quite a long time to educate the public, and before, in order to educate the public before the vote actually took place. So I'm curious, in our case last year, the decision to go for the override came really weeks before the election, maybe 6 weeks or something like that, which is a very, very short amount of time to educate the public, having been involved with quite a few of these votes over the years, and spent a lot of time at all kinds of different public meetings and identifying constituency groups and so forth. It seems to me that the best chance for success for something like that would be to have a fairly long period of time to get the facts out to the public and so forth. So I'm curious what our approach will be. I'm hoping that we see this come up again in the spring. I'm not sure what you're thinking about that is, but I'm curious for you to comment on your timing, your thoughts, somehow being able to get if not specifically proposing the warrant article, some sort of a study group or joint committee with finance and school committee and public safety and so forth, where people can start to get answers to questions well ahead of the election.
As you're aware, we have a financial planning team, which is chair and vice chair of the select board, school committee, finance committee, that meet regularly and even more regularly during the budgetary time period, which we're getting into now. There has been no proposal as of this date to propose an override as of yet. And again, the finance planning team will work on it. The municipal government and the select board will deliberate, the finance committee, on the municipal side, school on their side. And, it'll come through probably the financial planning team first, and then any override question must come through this board in order to get onto the ballot. If you, as you mentioned, Stoneham, was it
Melrose.
well, and Melrose just had it, but if you look at the timing as to where they had it, they had a special elections, they had the November election, they had a special election in December, in the middle of a fiscal year.
Right.
Looking forward to another year, and yes, they both had failed overrides in previous years. So they decided not to do it at their annual elections, not to do it to coincide with their annual town meetings, but to work ahead a year and a half in advance in order to put forth their proposals. We're at a point, a juncture right now where we know money is tight for our operations of town government, and we've been saying it all along for the last several months and for the last several years that, your taxes aren't going down. Prop 2.5 caps us at a 2.5 level, but the cost of doing business far exceeds that. And one of the items on our agenda tonight is to ask the board to endorse the Mass Municipal Association's initiatives for allocation of state funds to municipalities a little bit differently. And if the board so decides, we'll be endorsing that tonight, and town administrator will be representing us at the MMA meeting to forward on to the legislature and the governor to do just that, to give some relief to the local communities to allocate more state resources this way, because Prop 2.5 is just not allowing us to grow. So we're going to be paying more, the taxes are going to be going up, and if we live within the confines of 2.5, we're going to be getting less. So at some point, and we're at the breaking point now, there will be some proposals with some very difficult cuts that are going to have to be made if we don't support different initiatives. But, that's for the next few months, and as far as the timing of it, the budget process is what drives it. Whether we want to wait a year and work a year and a half ahead of ourselves, to give us the time, that'll be determined at a later date.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other public comment? Very good, all right. What we're going to do is, we have,
Mr. Chairman, real quick, just to let the public know, I know there's a lot of folks here for what I would assume I would know what they're here for, but there is no hearing at that opportunity. If you have any thoughts you want to say, now is really your time. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, next order of the agenda is a review of the senior center lease request for proposals, and vote to issue a request for proposals. And Mr. Gilberto, you want to start it off, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Parisi?
Certainly, we have we were here in front of the select board at the December, I think, 22nd meeting to review some criteria for a request for proposals, which is the state required process that we have to follow to enter into a lease for space. So if we're going to lease space for a senior center, we have to issue a request for proposals, get responses back, and then evaluate them. There was some high-level discussion that happened on the 22nd of December. There was some detail that was written into a draft RFP that Mr. Parisi, the Director of Public Works, reviewed with the Council on Aging at a meeting last week. And he has been making updates to that since then. Mr. Parisi, I believe, is here virtually this evening. Joe, can you hear us all right?
I can.
Great, excellent. And you should be able to manage things on your end. Do you want to share the draft of the RFP, or do you want me to share it on my end?
I can share it on my end.
Okay, great. It'll go through to us in this room and to others as well. You should be able to do so. I should put it right up on the screen.
Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I just would like to sort of briefly take you through the RFP draft that we've been putting together. I would like to advertise so that this would hit the central register by next Wednesday and start a period of 30 days required advertisements before we can start accepting proposals. So with that, I would just like to take you through the segments of the RFP that's been drafted. What we're looking to do is get funding, as you know. We hope to be in a position to get a pricing and then submit in the FY27 budget, into the operating budget, enough to support the proposals we received to lease space. So there is a tight timeline, if you will, if we're going to be looking for funding in June. But otherwise, the soonest we could look to lease space would be July 1, 2026. If we did receive funding in the June town meeting, there obviously could be some period of time for any proposer to fit up the space to any requirements that the senior center may have in its programming. So, could go out as far as July 1, 2027. So we have, a time frame sort of identified as of now for that 1 year period. Looking at the first section, it's facility use classification. This would be assembly use building. We're anticipating, having an occupancy load of about 200 people. So the building must, must sustain, that capacity. We're also looking for a space that's in North Reading or within 0.5 miles radius of our borders, but we did find out from council that there would be some special legislation required if we were to lease space outside of borders of North Reading. I think we still want to put that in there. We did see some space just outside of North Reading that we thought was, almost ready to go. It's something that you don't see often when you have a space that you think could fit with minimum changes. But either way, we'll put some language in there into the RFP that would allow us to accept proposals with the intent that if we deem it in that particular space in the best interest of the town, we could seek special legislation to do so. So we are looking for a space that assembly use classification either currently approved for that or readily capable of being upgraded, modified to comply with assembly use. Moving on to section 2, required facility size. So it's been determined that current size being, I think, about 9,000 square feet, upwards to 15,000 square feet for expansion would be what we're looking for as a baseline. There might be some opportunities in certain places for additional space if needed in the future, but 9 to 15 is what we're looking for as far as proposals go. We're going to also require some information about the building, like the building, floor plans, mechanical, electrical, plumbing plans, looking for current occupancy certifications, and anything else that would be provided by the landlord that could be useful for evaluation. We're also looking for water and sewer capacity for assembly occupancy. I think, again, looking at no fewer than 200 occupants. I think one of the more important sections is the senior center programming requirements. So we have a section here that gives some pretty good detail as to what we're required to be housed in the space. Down the list: large multi-purpose hall, suitable for events, dining. Looking for like 1 to 5 classroom programming spaces, groups of 12 to 30 participants. Fitness room suitable for exercise classes with 40 more participants. Administrative offices between 3 and 7 enclosed offices. confidential consultation rooms, common reception area between entrance and offices, kitchen and food service support area, adequate storage, ADA compliant restrooms, fully accessible building entrance, and on-site parking sufficient to support senior center operations consistent with assembly use. Looking at lease terms. We have here a initial 5-year lease period, and then options for 2 additional 5-year periods. A total of 15 years if need be. But certainly initial 5-year lease term would be the minimum requirement. Type of lease we'll look for is a gross lease. We do not want to basically be putting in town funding on property that is not owned by the town. I think the cleanest way of doing that, and I think the finance director would agree, would be a gross lease. So the landlord would be responsible for all of the maintenance of the building, the upkeep, paying, plowing, sanding, HVAC, electrical, plumbing work, exterior maintenance, roof, fire protection, parking lot maintenance, all of that. In addition to, most likely fitting up the space to our particular needs. It's a little bit more difficult for a landlord to amortize, the fit-up costs over a 5-year period, but it's something that I think is cleaner if it can be done that way, and we'll see what kind of responses we get on that. Section 8, rental rate proposal, cost per square foot. So we're looking, for, basically a cost per square foot for, excuse me, whatever size that they're proposing to be leased to the town. We do want to see, cost breakouts over the, lease periods, years 1 through 5, and continue on 6 to 10, 11 to 15. We have the valuation criteria. This selection is not necessarily based on price alone. Certainly there's some things that we may see as highly beneficial to the town for one reason or another, but we do want to rank them and then look at price and make recommendations as to the proposal that is most beneficial for the town. So we do have criteria laid out. So facility suitability and assembly use compliance is criteria A. Criteria B, programmatic fit for senior center operations. And typically you'll see, highly advantageous, not advantageous as the groupings, how to score it, unacceptable as well. So you see that common to all these criteria. So criteria C, accessibility and site circulation. Criteria D, water, sewer, and building system capacity. Community accessibility. F, cost proposal, the price per square foot. And G, proposers' experience and references. So we'll put all of these scores on a scoring matrix and come up with a ranking for each of the proposers. That'll give us, an idea of, who we believe the top down are for those proposals we'd like to start discussions with. Here's a little cost breakdown sheet.
Put on hold.
So we can.
Joe, can you put up?
Joe, hold on one second,
Hold on a
Joe.
second,
Proposal.
Joe, hold on one second.
Yep.
Call. Should we call it? Please call it.
All right,
So anybody who's standing, maybe you could sit down.
Yeah.
Just relax. Take off your
If you just
coat.
want to let the people in the hallway know that we're about to reconvene, so.
Yeah, they're all standing right there. Everyone's
Okay.
few people left.
All right, folks, we're going to reconvene the meeting. And again, we just had a brief medical emergency here. The person has been getting assistance from the local fire and police department here. They're conscious and on the way to the hospital and look like they're doing fairly well. So we appreciate everybody's patience with us and appreciate everybody in the room here for making way for fire personnel and police personnel to assist this person, and you've done a great job. We appreciate it very much. All right. So where do we leave off here, Joe? You were looking at your criterion on how you're going to be rating people, rating those that are going to be responding to the RFP. You all set, Joe?
Joe, can you hear us?
Sorry about that, yes.
No, we're sorry about that too, but again, thank you, Joe, for hanging in here with us. All right, so, Joe, you're at the scoring matrix and, you know, how you're gonna be evaluating the proposals.
That's correct, and so essentially, that's the end of the document. We do have, you know, some attachments and some legal forms to be filled out. But I think that basically is the RFP as I'd like to present it. So I can open it up for questions here.
Yeah. Board members who have any questions or concerns? I just want to state for the record, this is just following through with what the board had proposed at the October town meeting through warrant articles to look at space needs, putting the senior center under one roof, all the programming under one roof. The commitment on the board is here and is real and is evident by the fact that we've been moving rather quickly to try and locate any opportunities that we may have, both on an interim, short-term, and long-term basis. Again, we don't know what we have for availability yet. What we do know is that we don't have any availability at the current senior center, and we're dispersed among 3 or 4 different locations, and that isn't working well for us. So this is the first step that the town needs to follow in order to acquire information from prospective landowners or landlords who have space available and want to have Town of North Reading Senior Center in their facility. So we have restricted by state law as to how we have to go the process. This is part of the process. We're putting this on the fast track, and we hope to glean some sort of response from these. We'll see what it is out there. And again, there's been a small group of people who have been, through the administration, who have been out there seeking opportunities, and this is now the next step. So, and again, I know a lot of people are here tonight in support of this effort. You can be assured that there's unanimity on the board in relation to moving this process forward, and this is what we have to do in order to effectuate it. So, Joe, we appreciate you putting this together with your team to put it out there. And members of the board, any questions for Joe or comments?
I think it's a good thing for us to be doing and expediting it as much as we possibly can.
Okay. Anybody else? What's that? Mr. Massey?
Mr. Chairman, Joe, thank you and your team for putting this together. Short order too, by the way. As far as the existing senior center goes on the top of the hill, maybe that's a conversation for another time about how we take over a space, but also how we use the current senior center. I'm not sure how that would work. Maybe there's an opportunity where everything can go over there.
Right.
And what
Yeah, let's find out what we have available. Let's see what's available first, then we'll react.
Then we
Sure.
have an empty building, so I'm just wondering,
That's
we have to
okay.
think long-term, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, 200 occupants, Joe, is that max capacity, or are you like, is that, a regular occurrence, 200 occupants?
max.
Max, okay.
And we could, certainly if there are others there that know what the typical daily is, they can speak on that.
Yeah,
Kim, what do you feel?
yeah, Kim, just as far as on a regular basis, what's the, how many people would you have? If you had all the programming under one roof, instead of scattered about, would you have 75 people?
Depending on events, but we'd have 80 at a large luncheon to 100, if we could accommodate that. And we arrange the programs so they're not in conflict with each other, so that would fit the space. That would be adequate space.
All right, so Kim has indicated that, on a daily basis, you might have 80 to 100 people on a regular basis, but, so the 200 would certainly be adequate.
Understood. And I agree. Going a little bigger doesn't hurt either. I was just questioning the 200 occupants. The fit out for the space, would that be responsible by the town of North Reading, or would that be responsible by the leasee?
Landlord?
We're looking for the landlord to fit out the space.
Okay, so then they would, okay.
Yeah, so then the lease would obviously, over time,
They would
they'd be
own it.
looking, this is why you need at least a 5-year lease for a payback period, so they could pay it out with the 5-year option. If they're gonna be making the investment based upon our specifications, could be a significant expense, depending upon the space.
Understood,
Again,
thank you.
the other one that we looked at, very little build out on that one. That one was almost ready to go.
Last thing I wanted to mention was about the 5-year lease. I think a 5-year lease and then the option to renew is a great amount of time, because if there is an ultimate desire to have a new senior center, then we don't want to lock ourselves into a contract of too long. So it's very important that we keep that in the back of our minds, that seniors keep advocating for it, because we don't want it to be forgotten. And it's important to hold us accountable as well, that this is, as we all imagine, to be a temporary space. So to me, I just thought a 5-year lease when first time I saw it yesterday. Maybe I thought that was a perfect amount of time for folks to, I also know we've talked about a senior center intergenerational building committee. I think 5 years is probably just about the perfect amount of time to when those keys will be handed over to the town, if it happens. So good time. Thank you, Joe.
Welcome.
All right. Other board members, any comments in relation to the request for proposals and what's before us this evening to authorize the release of it and advertisement? Nope, hearing none. Great. Again, for the folks that are here and tuning in, this is the process that we need to go through in order to bring this to fruition. We're committed to doing it, find out what's available for us, and again, the final determinations will be made by town meeting. So hopefully we get a good response, and we'll find out in short order. And then at that point, at least we'll have some sort of direction, as to where we're gonna go and what we're looking to do. So whether it be interim, short-term, or long-term. So again, if we're gonna be building a new facility, you've gotta site it, you've gotta design it, then ultimately you have to pay for it. And again, that's gonna be a long process. So let's deal with the immediate needs at this particular point in time, and then we'll move forward with the other portion of the projects. All right? Do we have a motion, Mrs. Moran?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. One quick question. I didn't mean to interrupt you. As far as getting town meeting approval in June, if this were to all time out properly, should the RFP speak to that to say,
I believe it does.
Okay,
Yes,
awesome.
it has the date timelines in there.
thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I move with great pleasure that the Select Board authorize the issuance of a request for proposal for the purpose of securing lease space for a senior center in substantially the same form as presented this evening, subject to adjustments recommended by Town Council.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Studo. Motion by Mrs. Moran, seconded by Mr. Studo. Any further discussion, members of the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. Very good. Thank
Yay.
you, folks, for coming out. Don't feel obliged to hang out all night. Thank you very much.
This is fantastic. Do you know how long when you're trying to like have a beer or wine?
These are the ones you fold.
Yeah,
This one.
I just realized the belt
Oh, okay.
doesn't work.
This is Concord Street.
I think it's gonna increase their business. Well, I'm actually curious, like,
Okay.
what the plan is if that happens, because they're already pretty packed. It's, if you order, God forbid you order a Friday in Lent, once it took like, well, not only do you come out of there smelling like a piece of calamari, but, but yeah. Is that guy here? I don't know what it looks like.
That's okay. Thank you.
All right.
ASR, who did my HVAC. ASD.
Big business.
They were great. And the funny part is,
Hey, Jeff. You won't need to read the motion to recess the hearing. We're just taking it in order. The first one, I think, says for, where is it?
this is this one, right?
Yeah, for this item, there was a motion to say to recess at 15 minutes, but we're not going to do that.
Okay.
Okay? We were trying to work with everybody.
We were optimistic. I know. All right, next agenda item is a public hearing. Mobile home rent control board report and recommendation on Perry's Trailer Park, 142 Main Street. We need to take some action on a vote. We have an application for discontinuance, discontinuing the permit application. And just as a, what do we, Catherine, do you have the public hearing notice?
I do. Hearing.
Might be in the yellow one, Kathy.
All right, so if you have your, do you have the packet on there?
Do you want to read it?
Do you have it,
Yeah.
Mr. Studo's willing to read it.
Mr. Studo?
All right, Mr. Studo, if we could read into the record the public hearing notice.
Town of North Reading Select Board, notice of public hearing, Perry's Park, 142 Main Street. Application of discontinuance permit in accordance with the general laws, Chapter 140, Section 32L, and Chapter 561 of the Acts of 1989. The Select Board of the Town of North Reading will hold a public hearing in the manner and at the time and location set forth below to consider and act upon the application of a discontinuance permit filed with the board on March 31st, 2025 by 142 Main Realty LLC to cease operating the manufactured home community known as Perry's Park at 142 Main Street. Monday, January 12th, 2026 at 7:30, hybrid in-person virtual meeting, North Reading Town Hall, room 14, 235 North Street, North Reading, Mass. Virtual meeting access is available on northreadingma.gov/calendar. Copies of the application are on file and available at the Town Administrator's office at the North Reading Town Hall, 235 North Street, North Reading, during office hours, online at northreading.gov, or by email at townadministrator@northreadingma.gov. The board will review the report and recommendations of the North Reading Mobile Home Rent Control Board dated October 24th, 2025, and accept such further testimony and evidence as relevant to the application. The hearing may be continued from time to time at the discretion of the board. Interested parties may attend and present testimony, documentation, witnesses relevant to the application and considerations in the act, and may be represented by counsel at their expense. Written comments may be submitted to the North Reading Select Board in care of the Town Administrator, Town Hall, 235 North Street, North Reading, Mass. 01864, or by email to townadministrator@northreadingma.gov, and should be submitted no less than 4 days prior to the hearing to allow for full consideration by the board.
Thank you, Mr. Studo. So public hearing has been read into the record. Just like to announce that this public hearing is being recorded by NORCAM and other local media. So again, we have had an application submitted to the select board for a discontinuance of the mobile home park at 142 Main Street. The process calls for, again, back in 1989, we had special legislation filed and signed into law. The town of North Reading, a mobile home rent control board was created, and a process by which the owners of mobile home parks would be required to do several things when it comes to either raising the rents or, in this particular case, a discontinuance of the permit. There's set procedures in the state law that require certain actions on the part of the town and of the applicants. Part of the statutory requirements are that when an application is received by the board, the select board would then refer it to the mobile home rent control board. There's certain timelines that are associated with the required action of the mobile home rent control board before they can hear it, so those have all been met. So we got this application last March, is that what it was? I believe? March 27th, and then we've forwarded on to the mobile home rent control board, and with the requisite amount of time, the mobile home rent control board held public hearings on the application. During that time period, the applicant and their counsel presented their arguments in favor of the discontinuance of the applications, and tenants were then provided an opportunity also to publicly comment as to the impact on them and the community. That all took place over a series of 4 or 5 different continued public hearing meetings over the last several months. The mobile home rent control board then, based upon the statutory requirements, has laid out a recommendation to this board and was forwarded to us. We then now have a requirement to act on the application for discontinuance. It's this board that makes the determination that whether to allow the discontinuance or not. I think it's important for people to understand that under the discontinuance portion of the statute, there are certain criterion that the mobile home rent control board had to take into consideration. Included in those are in determining whether to recommend, again, this is a recommendation from the mobile home rent control board to the select board. I'll read from the statute. In determining whether to recommend that the board of selectmen, now the select board, grant or deny a discontinuance permit, the rent control board shall consider the aggravation of the shortage of safe, decent, and affordable mobile home park accommodations in the town of North Reading, which may result from the discontinuance, especially for tenants of low and moderate income and handicapped or elderly persons on fixed incomes. In making such determination, the rent control board shall make findings of the following factors. A, the benefits and detriments to the persons whom this act and this section seek to protect. B, the hardships imposed on the tenant residing in the mobile home park accommodations proposed to be discontinued. C, I can't read right now. Let's see. D, the rate of vacancy of mobile home park accommodations in the town of North Reading at the time of the licensee applies for discontinuance permit, and the average rental rates for said available accommodations. E, the availability of land zoned and otherwise suitable for development or expansion of mobile home parks. And the rent control board, in its discretion, may also review other relevant facts in making its report and recommendations. All of this has been outlined in the report and recommendation to the select board. And again, I appreciate the fact that the rent control board present this evening, Jack, Lydia, and I guess Caitlin is online. We appreciate the time and effort that you put in and the thoughtfulness and your consideration of the application. And we appreciate the timeline that you put forward, and we appreciate the efforts that was put in. What we'll do now is I just want to acknowledge that we have the receipt of discontinuation of application and the referral of the application of the Rent Control Board and the report of the Rent Control Board to the Select Board. Now, as far as the public hearing rules, all persons wishing to testify must seek permission from and be recognized by the chair. All documents and other evidence offered or otherwise taken by the board shall become part of the record, which shall be the exclusive basis of the decision. Testimony by the applicant, park residents, and their counsel will be accepted. Testimony of others directly relevant to the matter before the board may be allowed at the chair's discretion. Other thing which is normal is that witnesses will be sworn in by the chair, and you have to state your name and address for the record. So if you're looking to testify, you will be sworn, and need to state your name and address. So again, I'd like to acknowledge the receipt of the Rent Control Board's report and recommendations, and move to accept the report and the evidence referenced therein as part of the record of this hearing. Mrs. Moran, do you have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Mr. Chairman, I move the Select Board accept the Mobile Home Rent Control Board report and recommendations, including all documents and other evidence identified in such report as evidence in this hearing, and incorporate it as a part of the hearing record.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any discussion on the motion before us? Mr. Massey?
Mr. Chairman, I understand some mobile home rent control board members are here, and I would ask that you don't take this personally. But a question would be, this is a rent control board. Do they have authority to review discontinuance, or is it only rent control?
No, no. They have the authority under the statute to review and recommend to the board. This board will make the final determination, but under the statute, the Select Board gets the application and statutorily has to refer it to the Rent Control Board for their consideration.
Okay, just
Which
wanted
they
to make
have
sure
done.
it wasn't
Yep.
just rent. Okay,
No, no,
Thank you.
it's not just, it's called Rent Control Board, but there are other
responsibilities.
responsibilities associated with the discontinuance, an application for discontinuance.
Thank you.
So, with that,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I know there was one portion you couldn't read, I believe it was subsection C,
yes,
which reads, for the record, circumstances demonstrating hardship and inequity to the licensee seeking a discontinuance permit.
thank you for that.
Part of that was cut off.
Okay, so let that be part of the record. Thank you very much. All right. So the motion before us to accept the report and recommendations, including all documents and other evidence identified in such report as evidence in this hearing, and incorporate it as part of the hearing record. Is there any further discussion from members of the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. At this particular time, I'd like to, first of all, acknowledge and once again thank the Mobile Home Rent Control Board, Chairman of the Board, Jack Mannion. Jack, if you want to just give us an overview as to what your process was, how you went through it, and then your report speaks for itself. But just what you...
Formalities of testifying, or?
No, not on that one. You're okay on that. Just introduce yourself.
Hello, John or Jack Mannion, as you prefer, 40 Westwood Circle. Thank you for having us here today and for reviewing our work. We're here. What this is about is, for me at least, it's about being a good neighbor. That's why we take it so seriously. It's why we took so many meetings on this. It's why we considered why we took the time to take in all the comments. It's why we gave time for things to develop. And I hope that when you review what we have there, that you think about your neighbors and how you want them to be treated. Because that was really where we were coming from when we wrote this. And we took the time to make sure that we didn't just give you a single statement of yes or no, but we took the time to write out why we considered why we came to the conclusion we did. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the Rent Control Board? Lydia, you all set? No? All right. And Caitlin, you all set? I think so. Very good. I would also like to acknowledge that, we received this application, and the owner of the property was fully within his rights to make this application to this board, and has exercised them appropriately, and on our end of things, the town end of things, we're handling it appropriately according to statute. So again, I would just want to acknowledge that 142 Main Street LLC and the principals have every right to make this application. They've made it. They're more than welcome again this evening to inform the board as to why they believe it's in the town's and everybody's best interest to allow a discontinuance of this permit. And do we have representatives of the applicants for this evening?
Mr. Chairman, through you,
Yes.
for the benefit of anybody who's participating virtually, you can use either the raise hand or chat function to communicate with me to let me know that if you're seeking recognition, so that's probably important to state at this point if there is anybody who's seeking such recognition. He's out, so Rob Kraus has asked if he'll be allowed to speak, so I think he would.
Is it Attorney Kraus?
Yes.
Okay, Attorney Kraus, welcome this evening.
Hold on, I have to send him down. Sorry.
Attorney Kraus, we appreciate your presence, and we look forward to hearing from you and your applicant on the application for the discontinuance.
Attorney Kraus, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. Would you like to?
Can we look at him?
I can't, you may be able to hear me, and the video is disallowed on my system. It has a red slash through it,
Okay.
which does not allow me.
Sir, if you try now, you may be able to turn it on.
What about up? On the
There it is.
What about up on the screen? I believe got this.
Yep, I'll put your up on the screen as well.
Okay,
Oh, well, there you are.
I'm here,
All right.
Mr. Chairman, and through you to the members of the board and the rent control board and council, who I see it's at the table. May I make a presentation, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Thank you. On behalf of my client, what we have proposed to the town by way of a discontinuance permit started in March of last year, but it started well before that, probably 10 years earlier, when my client purchased the property. And in the record, you'll see that was transferred, as I understand from the decision, is a deed that states that the park will remain as a manufactured housing community for a period of 10 years. That 10 years ended shortly before the application process. So my client acted in good faith waiting until that time. As you probably know better than me, it's the property is about 3.5 acres. It's in a highway business zone. It's surrounded mostly by commercial property. And the act goes back to 1989, when arguably things are different. And I heard the chairman of the Rent Control Board state that this is about being neighborly. Not to dispute the chairman, but it's more than that. It's about my client's ability to decide the use of the property for the future, including but not limited to, as the proposal will show, a housing project that would provide a significant boost in affordable housing to the community. The proposal was for 111 units with 28 affordable units. In Section 7 of the Act, which controls, and I heard your town administrator indicate that there are 6 considerations, a number of them focused on the residents, which is a handful of individuals who own mobile homes, less than, a little over a handful, who actually own the homes, as my client owns a significant number of the manufactured home. And we're talking about a very small community, slightly more, approximately a dozen or less. but what we're trying to do is use the property as envisioned over 10 years ago, create affordable housing, and provide a benefit to the residents who are there. As you may know, in June of '25, through writing to the Rent Control Board, my client offered a significant offer to the residents by way of payout, potential future housing, financial incentives. Remember, under the Massachusetts housing statute, if you allow the discontinuance, it still calls for a period of 2 years by way of a census done within a 100-mile radius where these manufactured homes could be relocated to. And if that wasn't possible, then my client would have to buy them out at the fair market value as statutorily set forth in the statute. So this is not about gouging, it's not about taking advantage of anyone or any individual. It's a good faith discontinuance based upon articulated plans for housing, which includes a significant amount of affordable housing. And we're suggesting to you that hopefully that the board can look beyond the handful of individuals, however important they are, to see the overall goal of increasing affordable housing, as the governor did a couple of years ago when she signed the Affordable Housing Act, promoting the creation of affordable housing with all kinds of incentive, including $5 billion of state funds. We have nothing further to add by way of documentation to the record other than what we provided to the Rent Control Board by way of written submission plans and articulated offers to the residents. We're hoping, because it requires a majority vote, that the board will see through to seeing the future of North Reading, which includes those handful of individuals who are in the park who would otherwise be provided for as offered by my client or as otherwise protected by the statute. We're hoping that the town and you as its leaders will see a broader goal, which is encompassed within Section 7 of the Act. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Attorney Cross. Is there anybody in the public right now who would like to present information to the board regarding closure of the application for discontinuance? Are there any residents of the home? And I know you all participated at the Rent Control Board hearing and meeting, and those comments were reflected in the report. But if you feel it's incumbent upon you to make a presentation to the board tonight, you're more than welcome to do so.
We do have one hand raised virtually.
Okay. Is it
Courtney Doherty.
all right? Courtney, Courtney, are you, could you, just name and address first?
Yes, absolutely. Also, I am attempting to unmute, but I'm getting an alert that says the host has stopped that for my video. I'm also happy to not be on screen.
Try again now.
Okay.
All right, try again, Courtney.
No worries. All right, did that work all right?
Yes, and you are counsel for, will you identify yourself, please?
Good evening.
Yeah.
My name is Courtney Doherty. I'm an attorney with Northeast Legal, and just one of the residents at Curtis Park. Just thank you for the opportunity to speak. You submitted written testimony to the board.
Well, excuse me one second, Courtney, one second. You're kind of raspy for some reason or another.
Yeah, I think it's maybe the headphone set or a speaker set on your end.
Yeah, I don't know if it's your headphones or the speakers, I don't know, but, nope, now we get nothing.
All right, let's see.
No,
Here we
that's
go.
better.
Oh, good.
That's it.
You can hear me now?
That's much better.
All right, apologies.
That's okay.
I think I'd figure Zoom out by now.
So once again, identify yourself, please, again. Thank you.
Yes, hi, my name is Courtney Doherty. I'm an attorney with Northeast Legal Aid and counsel to some of the residents at Ferris Park.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for speaking. We've submitted written testimony to the board, but I just wanted to reiterate the 5 factors that the chapter governing this matter requires the board to take into consideration. All the factors, as the Mobile Rent Control Board lays out or mentioned in their own report, strongly weigh in favor of the board denying discontinuance in the application tonight. And discontinuance would be extremely detrimental to the residents and yet would offer little to no appreciable benefits. Many of the park's residents are elderly or have significant health concerns with fixed and limited incomes, and they all rely heavily on the tight-knit community they fostered in Ferris Park. Many of the residents have lived there for 10, 20, 30 years. However, if the discontinuance were permitted, residents would suffer severe hardships, including but not limited to the potential risk of homelessness, the loss of this vital community, and a significant other number of hardships, including financial hardship of losing their homes. These outcomes are all the more likely given the fact that many existing residents would not be able to afford to continue living in the proposed developments. Council to the park owner mentioned the proposal presented to residents to continue living in the proposed development, but again, as the Mobile Rent Control Board notes in their report, this price or this proposal offer presented would still increase the rent and living expenses of residents by almost 300%. And additionally, the severe hardships facing park residents substantially outweigh any potential effects that denying the discontinuance would have on the park owner. The park owner is an experienced businessman who would have or should have had been aware of the applicable laws when he purchased the property, and denying the discontinuance would not result in substantial hardship or inequity to the park owner. Additionally, we certainly appreciate efforts to expand access to affordable housing, but that effort cannot come at the expense of the existing residents who can't afford to live elsewhere. What's more, there are no vacancies available in any other parks in North Reading, and there is no available land for mobile home expansion or development in the area. So any other factors that the board may consider cannot offset all 5 of these statutory factors that favor denying the discontinuance. And so we urge the select board to follow the recommendation of the Mobile Home Rent Control Board and deny the discontinuance. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Council. Are there any other individuals who wish to speak to the application for discontinuance at this particular time? No other hands raised?
I'm not seeing any hands raised. I don't see anybody who has chatted. I'm not seeing anybody who's attempting to unmute themselves.
Well, final call for witnesses. Okay, seeing none. I have a motion to close the hearing. Tomorrow, move the select board accept all written oral testimony.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Select Board accept all written and oral testimony delivered at and prior to this hearing as part of the hearing record, close the evidentiary portion of the public hearing, and proceed to deliberation.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Studo. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. All right, select board members, it's going to us to deliberate in relation to the recommendations made by the Mobile Home Rent Control Board. You've all taken time to consider the recommendations. I think the testimony, just as a matter of the record, I attended 3 of the hearings to witness the testimony that was presented by both the applicant and some of the residents there. It's important to recognize, just from my standpoint, that many of these residents have been there for 40 years, 30 years. There may be only 13, I think there were 13 residents here in this neighborhood, in this community, but it is a community. Many of the residents there have been long-time members of the town of North Reading, 20, 30, 40 years. In one instance, I think his whole life, and he's 80 years old. He's been right there on site in North Reading. Many of the residents presented, as evidenced in the report, that it would create a significant economic hardship for them and medical hardships because all of their appointments, doctors, pharmacies are in close proximity. We have senior citizens who live here. We have people who are disabled at this particular point in time. It would create a significant hardship for them to be relocated. While we recognize, and I recognize the applicant's willingness apparently to present to the community at some future date an affordable housing 40B project, of course nothing has been submitted as of yet, and we all are aware that those applications and considerations for 40B applications take years of consideration before they're approved and built. In the meantime, these residents would have to be displaced and housed somewhere else. During the testimony, the members of the Mobile Home Rent Control Board urged the applicant to engage in significantly more discussions and communications with the residents of this area so that they would have some certainty as to how much was actually going to be offered. While the statute only requires, if they're going to buy them out, to happen at the tail end of the process here, they were urged to enter into discussion with the residents of this community, since a meaningful discussion, as to what they were going to be offered, for their home in order to be displaced. My observation was that that didn't take place. And again, statutorily, they're not required to do it, but again, from a moral standpoint, people who are going to be displaced need some certainty as to know economically how is it going to be handled. And so there were a lot of unanswered questions, and a lot of people were left with the feeling that they just had no certainty and were not going to be able to even afford, even with the generous offer that was being made by the applicant, to house them in the new 40B housing units at a reduced rate. It was still going to take years for that to come to fruition, and where were they going to go in the meantime? So I was so favorably impressed with the Mobile Home Rent Control Board's thoughtfulness and handling of the testimony, gleaning of information, requesting more information of the applicant, giving them time to respond appropriately. I thought they handled it extremely well and thoughtful, and gave thoughtful consideration to this applicant. But I, for one, will be supporting the Mobile Home Rent Control Board's recommendations in its entirety, and supporting the recommendation to not allow the discontinuance. So I would urge my fellow board members to make the same consideration. Mr. Studo.
Question for Attorney Eichmann. What is the recourse for Mr. Penadosi if he disagrees with this?
Attorney John Eichmann, KP Law.
Thank you. Mr. Studo, through you, Mr. Chair, this decision of the board, if you deny his request, may be appealed to court by the applicant.
And in your experience, and I know we've been through this with so many, it's always a what if, what are the chances of success?
That's impossible to estimate at this point. I have to say that, but it really is.
Meaning, let me rephrase. If the applicant is following the letter of the law, spirit, whatever you want to call it, right? Because at the end of the day, I may disagree or agree based on the narrative of who's being displaced, because it's not good. But again, in a court of law, like, wishful thinking doesn't work. So I'm just trying to gather those facts. So are they following everything the way they need to be, where in courts, a judge that has no connection to North Reading and just seeing it from the letter of the law says, yeah, I feel bad, but my hands are tied.
Yeah, I think I can address that through you again, Mr. Chair. So in North Reading, as the chair previously mentioned, unlike many other communities that might have rent control, there is a special act that was passed by the legislature in 1989 that contains 5 factors and then a 6th sort of a umbrella factor that the Rent Control Board and this board can consider. Most of those factors are about the impact of discontinuance on the residents. That's what the Rent Control Board considered. You will see that in their report and recommendation. Those determinations of fact about impact are made by the board. There's a discretionary element to the board to make those. It's not a matter of did the applicant satisfy a state statute. The special act controls that determination. So based on the fact that the Rent Control Board did go through all those factors, they stated what documents were placed in the record. They made findings of fact based on those documents and the testimony as to the impact on the residents, and came to the conclusion that that impact outweighed the benefit to the applicant and whatever right he may have otherwise to discontinue the community. So I think there's a reasonable basis here for this decision to be upheld should the Select Board adopt the recommendation and report of the board.
And this is not a question, more of a statement to my board members. So I'm inclined to also agree based on that. However, I will say that maybe with a little bit more coordination between Mr. Panadosi and tenants, I think a long-term resolution is needed. I've seen what happens when landlords think that, well, you're just not gonna let me make more money. And you can't, and you can get real deep in negligence before you get brought up to court as a slumlord. So I just want to say that because, again, I feel like every week I'm telling the uncomfortable truth, but North Reading is not getting cheaper, as everyone knows. So eventually, this person, or God forbid he sells it to like a corporation where they have a whole team that knows how to get people out, that's my fear. So I do think that although I am not inclined to disagree with the Rent Control Board, I do think that this board and community may find itself in the future with a problem of living conditions. And again, I don't know as much about that property, but I do know, again, that that's my fear, because I forgot, was it, I read here correctly, the rent was 635 or 300? Did I say that? It was somewhere here. What the average rent is there? I'm sorry, I had it on the page and then I kept reading. Anyways, it's. I mean, it's you can't rent a storage locker at that place down next to the bagel shop. The big one costs more than that a month. I'm just saying that because eventually that's my fear, right? That, all right, well, the town won't let me do what I need to do. I'm assuming he can only raise rents, right, until with approval, correct? Because he was denied in 2022, correct? So that's just my fear, that I would like to see, if possible, not more good faith, which I don't think was here. Like a real good faith. Like, let's come up with this because, and I think Mr. Panadosi should be honest too of, I'm just gonna get rid of somebody who might not really care and do the bare minimum. And this is what the bare minimum will look like. I think it's a fair way to do it. I've seen it. It's happening right now in Massachusetts. People who own buildings, it's difficult to get people out. Well, they just go into bare minimum mode. Tell me exactly what I need to do not to get sued. And that's all I'm gonna do. And I'm telling you, those living conditions aren't good. And again, I don't know about manufactured home, but I know in apartment buildings it happens. So that's what I would like to just say to both sides, that probably working together is your best bet long term, because I don't think, again, maybe I'm just cynical, but I don't see here a happy ending. And I think all the board tonight's gonna do is defer inevitability, whether it's 5, 10 years from now. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, may I make just a brief observation in response to that? I heard Selectman Studo mention good faith. So just to be clear, there's a good faith requirement in the statute, not in the town special act. And the Rent Control Board did not find that this applicant did not put this forward in good faith. They made no findings about good faith, so that's not really before the board. The question before the board is, as the Rent Control Board said, did they meet the factors in the special act? Good faith was not part of that
Oh,
consideration.
no, I was saying for future, whether or not it's in
That's
it,
fine.
just
Right.
to actually, just a goodwill. Maybe that's a better way to put it, just.
Yeah, I just want to be clear so the board
Okay.
knows what they're voting on, that was not a consideration for the Rent Control Board.
Thank you.
Board members, any other questions, comments?
It's a difficult situation, because I respect the rights of the owner of the property, they own it, they can do what they want to do with it, but I also feel for the people who are going to be victim of that if we were to go the other way. I think your observation is very good, that we're deferring what's going to happen in the future. It would be really good if that person could ante up more to help these people out or make a better offer, check off some of the boxes that have been cited as not being satisfied. I am going to be in support of the residents, but I do see this as a future problem that's not going to go away. And if we don't think about that in some positive way, it's just going to have a worse ending in the end. So I appreciate, Vincenzo, I appreciate your comments a lot. I think they're right on.
Again, just from a historical standpoint, I happened to be on the board when the special legislation was filed and passed, and we had another mobile home park in North Reading, which was, say, the cause of the need for this special legislation and the genesis of the need to create the Mobile Home Rent Control Board. So it wasn't, because this gentleman's only owned it for 10 years. But it was a real issue then, and it's a real issue today, no doubt about it. And the previous owner of the property, Mr. Henry Nazaro, and his family, Henry passed away, cancer, and his family ended up selling it. But they were very mindful of the community that was under their care, custody, and control, and ensured that at least for 10 years, they would be taken care of. I think the assumption was that during that 10-year period, the new owner would have the opportunity to assist people in moving them elsewhere if he had some plans to do something else. Such as the case is what has happened with the other mobile home park. The property owner down there, and I think it's almost twice as many units there, that owner over the time period has purchased all the units with the exception of 3, and I think there's 27 or 28 units there. So that the care, custody, and control is now under the owner's responsibility, and then the control of the Rent Control Board over that particular mobile home park is going to be far different than it is for this one here, because there's still a majority of the properties, the mobile homes there are owner occupied. So this gentleman had 10 years to work into it, and he still has time moving forward, working with these residents to bring his vision of what would be best in his best interest and what he believes in the town's best interest to fruition. And to your comments and Vincenzo's comments, I would urge him to continue to have positive dialogue with the residents there and assist them in getting to that point. There's no doubt. Is the property being utilized to the highest and best use from an appraisal standpoint and property value standpoint? No, but the price that he paid for it reflected that too, because it was, at a discounted rate because of the limitations on the property. And this is not the only sole use of this property either. There's a gas station there, there's additional business activity taking place on the lots. So this is a portion of the use of the lot. So again, at the urging of the Mobile Home Rent Control Board, they tried to get the applicant to engage a little bit more. They chose to, do what they did, which is fine, it's totally within their rights. And again, I'm not being critical at all. They're exercising their rights and not abusing anything here. So it's, but it's, again, it's our determination as to what happens to this community today. It doesn't preclude the applicant from coming back. Now, there's some restrictions if he comes back within a certain time period as to whether or not the hearing has to be held and all. But there will be opportunities, and I expect that we'll be hearing from this applicant, again, in the not-too-distant future. And I would just urge them to enhance the communication level, assist these people in finding some certainty as to what their future would look like, and assist them to get there. Any other comments? Mr. Massey.
Mr. Chairman, I will first, through you, want to thank the Mobile Home Rent Control Board for their work in keeping tabs on this process. Called into a few of your meetings just to listen in, and I've also spoke with some people who have been in touch with this subject. You guys have spent a lot of time on this, so regardless of opinion, thank you for your service to North Reading. In my opinion, I came in here a little bit reading some what's in our packet, but also listening to the Rent Control Board, and I'm of the same impression where to Mr. Studo, where you have you have a deed that this gentleman that owns the property. So personally, I think government should not be involved in people's personal property. So keep that in my head where I say, well, we also have a special act, and then I read the special act. I understand the steps the developer has taken to discontinue, and from everything that I have seen, he has followed the law. And what I have here is it's his property. He can do what he wants with it as long as he follows the law. So that was my preconceived notion coming into this meeting, and I think Attorney Cross really did a good job. Mr. Studo brought up some risks that could come with denying this application. It was discussed about morals and generous offer. Mr. O'Leary even mentioned he made a generous offer, and now apparently not good enough a few minutes later. So I understand treat your neighbors, and I'm always one to advocate for residents against government. So this is certainly one where I say, what are we doing here? Why are we in this? And I get it, we have to go through the process, and that's what we're doing. But ultimately, I think this shouldn't be a bureaucratic process. A gentleman has followed the letter of the law. He's put into the deed, hey, in 10 years, I'm going to come knocking on your door that you've got to go. In 10 years, he knocked on their door and asked for them to go. Now, he still requires to give them 2 years from that notice. He's given them 12 years. I think, to be honest with you, maybe he could have done this a couple of years ago and still been able to do it. But there's neighborly, and then there's business, right? There is being kind to each other, and then there's like, hey, listen, you're taking money off my table, you're taking meals off my table. And if this gentleman wants to develop his property, go ahead, as long as you follow the law. To me, I think that you're doing the right thing. Talked about affordable units, right? We're talking now about good faith. I think he's offered multiple things that maybe a court of law would consider good faith, right? Buying them out, moving into a new home. I think a court of law could consider that. We sit here right now in the middle of a spectrum. We can choose to accept the Mobile Home Rent Control Board's recommendation, and we could get sued. We can be in the red. Or there's an opportunity where we can get state funding by going into affordable housing. We can get more affordable housing in town, which is more incentives. So, from a fiscal and understanding people's property rights. I think this gentleman has followed everything he needs to do in order to get approved. I think, and please don't take this the wrong way again, there's a lot of sentiment. There's a lot of sentimental feelings here, and I get that. It's in the back of my head too as I'm talking. But ultimately, business is business and the law is the law, so I will not be supporting the mobile home rent control's recommendation. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? No? Mrs. Marr?
Yes, I'd like to thank the Mobile Home Rent Control Board for doing the due diligence and holding the multiple hearings and getting the documentation and the statements for the residents. I think that's very important. I understand what Mr. Massey is referring to. The owner of the property would like to develop it. I think that's a wonderful idea. But what are these residents supposed to do in the meantime? They're going to be displaced. They're going to lose their community within the park. They're going to lose the support of their community at large. And I think while it would be nice to see more development in town, I think we could all benefit from that. Displacing people out of their homes, some of them have been there for decades, is not the right thing to do. If there is a more amicable solution to this dispute, I think, as Mr. Chair had pointed out, there's nothing precluding the applicant from coming forth with another discontinuation application, and I think we'll probably see that again. If there were more amicable conversations between the residents and the owner of the property, maybe the outcome today would be different. But I can't look 13 people in the eye and say, hey, you gotta go. That's not right. I'm not gonna be supporting this.
I mean, you are.
I mean, I'm not supporting this continuation of the use.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Massey.
I often get confused by the stances that some of my board members may take. Oftentimes we go meeting after meeting, you repeat a lot of the same things, and then you change them when it's what you may want. But you've been talking, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Wallner too as well, a lot about housing and what a priority the state has put on housing, and affordable homes. So it comes to me a little confusing that someone that's such an advocate for housing and affordable housing can sit here and potentially put us into financial risk while not taking more housing. And I'm trying to understand how you've got to your decision when speaking so highly on housing before. I tend to be confused.
Well, maybe I can help allay some of your confusion.
Sure.
I am a strong supporter of affordable housing, no doubt about it. I've also sat through virtually every single 40B application that's taken place in the last 35 years, 40 years. Negotiated most of them. So I know how the process works in relation to what this applicant is talking about, promoting a 40B application with 111 units, 28 affordable, all the rest, and the process that's required and the timeline associated with it. There is no application, there has been no application, and it's not very difficult to throw that proposal out for our consideration, but there's nothing requiring him to do so. Nothing in the decision that we make in authorizing the discontinuance requires Mr. Panadosi or whoever owns the property to build affordable housing. So maybe they're telling us what we want to hear. Maybe he does want to do that, but the process is very lengthy and takes a long time. In the meantime, we're displacing long-term residents here. I just might refer you to the west end of Boston, under the guise of urban renewal and housing and business development and everything that goes along with it. And they displaced entire neighborhoods and bulldozed them. and
It's
move
like,
them.
it's
So
like,
you're
it's like
asking-
it's like a
so-
severance package, right? I mean, we've
No,
all
no, no,
had, we've all got,
would
we've all
you like
seen
the answer?
severance
Excuse me, don't
packages.
interrupt, and then you have your say. So, again, and what we're talking about here is low, moderate income residents of our community already. The state doesn't recognize mobile homes as affordable housing. Tell me it's not. I've been arguing for 35 years
Valid
with our
point.
legislators to, when they take into consideration the counts for affordable housing in this community and all the communities across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, there is no doubt that these types of homes should be considered as affordable, and we get no credit for it. I'm not looking to displace affordable housing with a wish, a whim, and a maybe at this point. Give me some sort of certainty and give these people some certainty, and I'll be happy to consider it. But I'm not going to displace 13 of our residents, 13 households of our residents
I'm sorry.
on a wish.
Did you
and
just
a whim.
say it's not considered affordable housing?
It
And
is
you
not
said,
considered
I
under-
don't want to displace 13 affordable housing homes? That's exactly what you just
Yeah,
said.
That's right. I
So it's not
consider-
considered affordable housing.
I consider it to be
Let's move
affordable
off that.
housing.
Let's move off
The
that though,
state
right?
doesn't
Because-
recognize it, and they should.
No, I understand, Mr. O'Leary.
Right,
I'm not trying
So
to
you asked me a
overtalk you.
question as to how can I come to this conclusion? I'm not going to displace affordable housing that we have in this community right now with
It's still not affordable
with a
housing.
wish that somebody else is going to do that.
It's your definition of affordable housing, but
Right,
no, it's
and
not, it's
again,
not
I don't
technically
think you're gonna
affordable
find-
housing.
You're not even going to find.
I
any
just don't
reasonable
want you to put
person-
us in a lawsuit, Mr.
Excuse me.
O'Leary, you know?
Stop interrupting. You're not going to find any reasonable individual, including members of the legislature, that don't consider mobile homes affordable housing. They just don't do it for statutorily for consideration under 40B applications. Communities don't get credit for it. So I am an advocate for affordable housing. I'm not about to displace one of the two small communities that we have within our community that are affordable for people who live on fixed incomes for the vast majority of them, and there's some families, young families in here too, that can't afford to go anywhere else. They can't afford to go into a subsidized unit. A subsidized, affordable subsidized unit over at Edgewood is over $2,000 a month. What's affordable? Depends on your income level. We had testimony from people here that Social Security is the only income, $2,100 a month.
Listen,
They can't afford.
I feel for him,
So-
Mr. O'Leary.
So that's how I came to my conclusion. I feel very comfortable with it and continue to advocate for more.
I understand, I'm just gonna quickly respond. I understand, but I wanna separate, we're here on the select board for the town. Business is business, the law is the law. To me, I feel like that is exactly what's going on. Now, I feel for the residents. If I was in their place, would I be super upset? Yes, but as decision makers, we need to look from a high level, we need to look at risks, we need to weigh the pros and cons, and say, if someone told me I can't go make more money, I'd be a little upset as well. I feel for a property owner and someone that signed it into their deed. So when they moved there, they knew it was 10 years.
No.
Well, yeah, some
No,
have lived there longer. I understand that.
No, that's not, and these people don't have a deed. The people you're talking about don't have a deed. They have a lease agreement, a rent agreement. That's all they have.
The deeds
The
with the
deed
town.
restriction was put on the property owner who owns the property. There was a 10-year waiting period before he could even apply for a discontinuance. The deed restriction was on the property owner, not the residents. Not the residents.
Okay. That's
And as far as making money and following the law, sure, he's following the law, but look at the law. This was a special act enacted at the request of North Reading Select Board and Town Meeting to the legislature to create this board and address this very situation where people, business is business, but at whose expense? The community at the time in 1989, and I believe the community today, is still caring and sympathetic about the residents who live here now. And the law is the law. And the law says, in order to have a discontinuance of this park, they have to follow the law. And here are the criteria that we are to consider when allowing this to happen. So the law is the law. We're not precluding him from making the money, but he bought a piece of property that had a deed restriction on it. It wasn't just the 10 years. It was 10 years in that deed restriction before he could come forward. The restriction is still on there because of its use. in perpetuity until this board decides to allow it to be discontinued.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Mr. Eichmann referenced good faith,
Which is not part of the consideration.
not part of the
That's what he
consideration.
said. That's not what we're talking about. It's not what the rent control board was charged with looking at.
Understood. I'm good, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the board?
I do have a question. If the applicant did have a favorable application for 40B, in your experience, how long would it take him to go through the process?
Well, let's see. The one
You
on,
mean
the
if
one
no
down
one-
on Elm Street was
No.
19.
If no one's screaming
2000,
about
that's
it?
been 6 years, 7 years.
Damages
But
the
he-
whole time.
And then,
2
Right,
years?
if it was a
I would say
positive environment and he wanted to pursue
2 to
it.
3 years.
Okay, so,
2 years plus before you could even break ground.
Well, no, but that's
But that's if everybody's on board.
without the pitchforks.
Right,
right.
right. Right.
So 2-year application process and then in the meantime,
Two-year application
Yeah.
process, approval process, and then, you know, your financing.
The
You gotta go and
construction
start
and-
breaking the ground, and then how long is it gonna take you to build 111 units in this particular case, specific case? But,
2 years.
So it's, and again, that's with no dissent, no appeals.
So in
Again,
order,
we have one right now pending that
Right.
started in 2019.
but that was not a favorable,
No, but again, it doesn't take a lot of people to file suit and hold things up.
And then we're gonna have to carry a warrant article in every town meeting that says potential funds for legal fees of whatever this address is. Same thing we did with 20 Elm. You're backing us into a
And
corner.
again, who made the determination to do that? Town meeting. Yeah, the town meeting made those determinations. The board made a recommendation. It's town meeting that makes the recommendations and appropriations to take action, whether it be changing a bylaw, whether it be filing special legislation, or whether it be funding legal cases. It's town meeting that makes the final determinations, not this board. Will of the people, I think I've heard that from you a few times too. Town meeting has spoken. So, you know, how do you reconcile that? That's rhetorical, you don't have to answer.
Sorry.
Money drives it all.
Keep-
you know, money,
keep costing
but, you know,
us,
and that's
Mr.
why
Chairman.
people,
Keep
you know,
costing us.
people care about other people in this community.
Wonder why we are where we are.
Most people in this community care about other people. Any other comments from members of the board, questions?
Mr. Chairman, just to let you know, there are two members of the public, one of whom represents himself as the applicant, who have asked to testify in consultation with town council. I have responded to them that the public testimony portion of the hearing has closed, so they've not been able to speak, but just so that you all know, that did happen.
I appreciate his effort to make it, but the opportunity was presented earlier. Ample opportunity was presented earlier, and it's unfortunate that he didn't seek recognition at the appropriate time.
Mr. Chairman, I think this applicant has spent a lot of time and money to get to this process here today. You're not gonna let him speak at his own hearing? I mean, be a little flexible, will ya? You know,
We voted.
You can't just do it.
you can allow a resident or a public member to
Yeah, we
speak.
have to revote.
No, you can just
Right.
let him speak. Doesn't have to be in the hearing, right?
Public hearing is closed. The time for witness testimony is closed.
I understand that.
Okay. The time to do it. the
Every
appropriate
other
time-
select board meeting, Mr. Chairman, some resident gets up and says something that you allow,
This is a legal process.
inconsistent,
This is a legal process.
inconsistent governing.
Any other comments by members of the board? Right. So, we have, obviously, nobody has made any suggested amendments to the recommendations and determination of the Rent Control Board. It appears as though the majority is not necessarily going to disagree, so appropriate motion would be that the Select Board adopt the findings and determination of the Mobile Home Rent Control Board and recommendations without amendment. Do we have that motion?
Would you, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Select Board adopt the findings and determinations in the Mobile Home Rent Control Board's report and recommendations without amendment.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any further discussion on the motion before us? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Now, move to a decision. Mrs. Warren?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Select Board, in accordance with the Section 7(4)(c) of Chapter 561 of the Acts of 1989, deny applicant 142 Main Street LLC doing business as Perry's Trailers Park application for a discontinuance permit relative to Perry's Trailer Park for the reasons set forth in the report and recommendations as adopted by the Select Board.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Moran, seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any further discussion? Mr. Massey?
Mr. Chairman, was I supposed to vote nay on this one? I
Yes.
apologize.
It's okay.
Do you mind if I change my vote on the last? It doesn't matter. If I can, I would appreciate
If
it.
you,
I got the motions wrong.
No, you wanted to vote no, because you didn't agree with the
Oh, I thought it was this one.
both.
no.
Okay, both, I apologize. Thank you.
No, I think you voted the way that you wanted to.
Okay.
So on the motion before us, is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay?
No. Motion carries 4 to 1. Mr. Massey is in opposition. Then, written decision. Motion? Designate. We're going to designate.
Yep,
The
Mr. Chairman, I designate the town administrator to prepare and issue a written decision of denial with the assistance of town council, consistent with the Select Board's finding and determination issued in the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moran, seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay?
Motion carries 4 to 1. Good. We have a,
Flammable storage. I can't wait to hear.
just close it
Yep.
itself. We declare it closed?
Mr. Chairman,
All right.
Mr. Chairman, the next motion on our docket,
We have to close the public
Close the
hearing.
public hearing. Done.
is that the next motion?
Yeah.
So is the public hearing not closed?
The whole,
No, the
the whole
testimony
process
is
is,
already closed.
testimony was closed. Public hearing is still ongoing until we've adjudicated everything, made a determination, and now
you're
public hearing is
closing.
going to be done. Public hearing is, we're doing it in a public venue, under the open meeting law. We're here.
Public hearing allows everyone to input, right? Anyone and anyone to input?
During a certain portion of the public hearing, it was allowed for witnesses, sworn witnesses, during a particular portion of the hearing,
Okay, oh, and the
for our
developer would
determin,
be
for
a
us,
sworn
for our
witnesses.
input to us, so that we could make our final determinations.
All right,
So, Mrs.
All
Moran,
right.
you have,
thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move to close the public hearing for the discontinuance permit application for Perry's Trailer Park.
seconded by Mr. Studo. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4 to 1. Thank you very much. And again, Jack, Lydia, Caitlin, thank you again for all your effort. It was a lot of effort, and well done.
We're 2 hours and 10 minutes late, everyone.
Thank you very much.
In all fairness.
thank you
we had
for
medical
joining us this
emergency,
evening.
So that took about, what, 20 minutes? Okay,
Attorney Eichman, thank you very much for your assistance. It was greatly appreciated and needed. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, do you have to, by rule, because they're, I think, similar, do both item 9 and 10 have to be done separately, even though it's for the same applicant?
Yeah,
They should
different,
be, and they're gonna be handled separately.
They're gonna be
Or
handled
they're
separately,
gonna be
different
advised to
addresses.
handle separately.
Okay.
yeah, a different address, and little different process as far as, all right. Mr. Gilberto, on the next 2 items, you want to just bring us up to date as to procedure, what we're going to be doing? Because we've got some information, recent information as far as our ability to act on them this evening, correct?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we received 2 applications for flammable storage on-site at properties on Concord Street. One for property located at 29 Concord Street and one located at a property identified as multiple addresses, including 37 to 51 Concord Street. Taking them one at a time, for the one for 29, so in both scenarios, the fire department through the chief, has advised me today that he is awaiting additional information from the applicant in the form of a code compliance review with regard to the quantities and potential fire suppression sprinkler requirements there, among other safety requirements. So the fire department's not prepared to recommend granting either license at this point in time. Secondly, there is an issue with regard to notification where the one that I just referenced that's identified as somewhere between 37 and 51 Concord Street was advertised as 39 Concord Street, but in fact is for 45 Concord Street according to the assessor's record. So we're going to need to re-advertise that. And while all of the abutting property owners received notification, those within the 500 feet of that property, they received notice of the wrong address. So for the first item, 29 Concord Street, my recommendation is that the hearing notice be read and that we, the board entertain a vote to continue the hearing to the February 9th meeting. And I suggest 7:45 p.m.
All right, so
Is, do you have the hearing notice for the first one in front of you there, Mrs. Moore? Okay.
Yes, I do.
I think Mrs. Moore has it.
Town of North Reading, notice of public hearing. In accordance with Chapter 148 of Massachusetts General Laws, a public hearing will be held by the North Reading Select Board on Monday, January 12, 2026 at 7:35 p.m. in Room 14, Town Hall, 235 North Street, North Reading, Massachusetts, and via virtual technology, on the application of BPREP 29 Concord Street LLC for the following license application. Flammable license to be exercised at 29 Concord Street, North Reading, Massachusetts, and according to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 148, Paragraph 13. The hearing may be accessed virtually as well via the internet or via the telephone. Meeting ID 823-6601-8385.
very good. Thank you very much. And again, we'll open the public hearing and entertain a motion to continue it to February 9th at 7:45 p.m. That's what you're suggesting, correct?
That's correct, yes.
February 9th, 7:45. Mr. Chair, I move that the Select Board
Continue the public hearing.
continues the public hearing for 29 Concord Street until February 9th at 7:45 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wallner. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous.
For the next item, I'll just, again, state just for the record that we will be re-advertising the hearing for 45 Concord Street, and we'll probably advertise it for 7:50 or 7:55 p.m. that same evening for the board to consider the application. Our hope is that by that time, code review will have been completed and that the fire department will be able to stand here and recommend the granting of the license. Full transparency, the flammable liquids are already being stored on site. This is something that was identified during a routine inspection last fall, and they were advised to seek proper permitting. So they're going through that process, but don't quite have all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed to allow us to grant a license for either location yet. I don't know if a vote is required. I don't know what that vote would be. I'm hesitant to recommend anything about something that's not on the agenda at this point, so if we want to enter that statement into the record and the fact that the hearing will be scheduled, hopefully that will suffice.
I think that would be appropriate. Yes, ma'am.
Number 21 Concord Street, Laurie Martinez. Are you telling me that the flammable liquids that I'm a 2-minute walk from is stored there now? Is that what you're telling me?
Some of them may be, yes.
Inside or outside?
I don't know offhand. I don't know.
Fire department hasn't approved it, and that's saying a 2-minute walk from my yard?
If that's where you live, it could be close by, yes.
2-minute walk.
And our understanding is,
If it's a long road, it's 5 minutes.
our understanding is that storage has been occurring there for a number of years. It was identified in an inspection this fall.
It is not going to be
To the extent that it can practically be regulated, it will be, but that is a challenge, of course, because of the infrastructure that goes into it.
Thank you for caring about the neighborhood, good faith. And you're gonna let this stuff stay there next to us on Concord Street? The houses that are there?
What's going to happen is there's going to be a public hearing to allow it to happen. While it's happening now, I mean, obviously, the fire department is monitoring it and supervising it at this particular point in time. So the case where we have it's been brought to their attention, we're dealing with it. They have the right to apply for an application to store it. That's what's taking place. And there will be a recommendation at some point by the fire department either to allow it with certain controls in place or not recommend it to the board.
So if something happens, per se, I can sue the town because you allowed flammable liquids a 2-minute walk from my property. Is this what you're telling me?
Mr. Chairman, through
No
you,
one allowed it, right?
to be
I mean,
clear,
this was just-
It needs to be taken care of.
to be clear, the select board has not allowed the storage to take place. The fire department has identified it as an issue. They're working with the property owner to the extent that they can with regard to any of the safety issues. But they are not prepared to recommend that the authority to store the flammable liquid be authorized yet.
Can it be removed now?
We will
For
talk with
protection?
the fire department about what steps can be taken practically at this point in time with regard to the storage to maintain safety, and whether that's removal or whether that's a reduction of the volume. Because keep in mind, property owners are allowed to store flammable liquid on their property up to a certain amount. The authority is required because of the volume being beyond that certain amount. So even a reduction isn't going to cause the storage to go away, to be clear.
So when it was brought to the attention of the community is addressing it, and this is the process that they have to go through in order to get it done. So the fire department is well aware and monitoring the situation.
And
Could-
we're
could-
well aware that we've been living next to this
Right, yep.
We would,
for the past few decades.
I don't know how long the
Yes.
business
When I
is.
moved in there, it was all green, no businesses.
Oh, I know.
Mr. Mayor told us when he put in the building right next door to me, which is now Ferguson, no trucks will ever come on that side of the property. We will not use the storage doors that are there. Everything will be done on the other side, away from your property. This is what we were promised.
through
You
you.
know what I look at now?
I know what you're looking at.
Ferguson piping and storage units. And now you're telling me 2-minute walk my other direction, that I look out my living room window and I can see the building? You're telling me that there's unlawful flammable liquids.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, if I could ask if we could get your name, number, and address.
Laurie Martinez, 21.
If we could take with your phone number as well, you don't have to say it publicly, you can just say it to her. And that way I can have the fire chief reach out to you, because I do think it's important that you both talk. Okay?
Okay, the public hearing, new premise, restaurant, wine, malt, beverage, common victuals license at the Lobster Claw Seafoods, 3 Main Street. Let's see. You have the
There
public
should be a
hearing?
public hearing notice.
Public hearing notice.
Mrs. Warren, do you have that?
Town of North Reading, notice of public hearing. In accordance with Chapter 138 of Massachusetts General Law, a public hearing will be held by North Reading Select Board on Monday, January 12, 2026, in Room 14, Town Hall, 235 North Street, North Reading, Massachusetts, in person and via virtual technology at 7:40 p.m. on application of Lobster Claw Seafood, Inc. for a new common victualler wine and malt beverage license to be exercised at 3 Main Street, North Reading, Massachusetts, in a single-floor restaurant approximately 5,000 square feet with kitchen and 2 dining areas. The hearing may be accessed virtually via Zoom, on tap mobile, and via phone.
Thank you. And I know the applicant is here. Mr. Gressick, welcome. I think most of you know Victor Gressick, proprietor of Lobster Claw, second generation of the Lobster Claw.
Second generation. Good evening. Thank you guys for hearing me. For those who don't know me, my name is Victor Gressick. As Mr. Chairman said, my father was Harry Gressick. He opened the business in 1976. Unfortunately, we lost him about 10 years ago, but since then I've taken over the business. And now I still stand by the business, and it's been my dream since a young kid down in the business to continue it. We're going now on our 50th anniversary in July. My daughter's enrolled in North Reading schools here. My dream and goal is to keep the restaurant running, hopefully for another 50 years. That being said, Lobster Claw is, it's a staple in the community, but I want to kind of evolve that by adding the beer and wine. We have a renovation planning start February 2nd, and we want to kind of bring a woodman's feel to it with a beer counter, serving draft beer, wine, some seltzer beverage options, menu expansion, dining room improvements. So here I am in front of you guys, applying for the license.
Congratulations.
I also
Thank you
just
very
want to
much.
mention that his father did have a beer and wine license for a
Yeah.
number of years and decided he didn't want to deal with it anymore. I
Yeah,
remember
when I
speaking to
was-
his father, saying, "Harry, what do you get?" He goes, I just don't want to deal with it."
When I was in high school or college, I forget now, but 25 years ago, with Miss Fillmore here, guiding me through the hallways. But my dad said to me then, he spent his time doing it, and at that point, my brother was with me. He said, if you and your brother want to really, carry on the business, once I pass or whenever you guys run it, first thing I would do is get beer and wine, going back in, revamp the place, and bring it, back to life. So 10 years, we did a little facelift and stuff, and it's done well in the last 10 years, but I really kind of want to take it to that next step and carry on the legacy. So
I think it's a great idea, not just because I personally drink white wine with fish, but, and then we could always help you with the wine list. And so can Mr. Mackey, who does enjoy his wine as well. But no, I think it will open up, it's definitely great for takeout, right? But I think it'll open up a lot more for in-dining, like just most definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, in North Reading, we're just starving for more places to be able to, not that you can't, let me rephrase, not that you can't enjoy like a soda or whatever, but, if you go out for a more expanded multi-course meal and, it's nice to be able to get a beer or some wine. So no, I think it's a great idea, and it's nice too that you're doing it here and not picking up shop and trying to open it somewhere else, which is
Yeah.
really nice. So I think it's great.
I've seen many busy summers and Lent seasons where I'm looking out from the kitchen operating it, and I say to myself, how many sodas can people drink, And I just really realizing, missing out on a big, opportunity for more future growth down there. But it's funny you mentioned that with the sodas, because I personally don't drink soda, so, you can only have so much Pepsi and Mountain Dew, but,
Well, don't
Yeah.
tell that to my 10-year-old.
and I am open for wine suggestions, so come down and see me and we'll chat.
Well, again, you and your family have been a staple here in the community and been giving back for years. Just along with this license comes some responsibilities, which I know you're aware of, and the board takes very seriously as far as, serving underage and making sure everybody's tips certified. We have people within the administration that will be down visiting you and, coaching you along the way. Please use them as a resource. But I, for one, am in full support of this. Again, it's great when a local establishment, wants to expand here and wants to offer more variety and get people to stay and dine here in town. And you have the best chowder in town. You've got the best seafood. So anything we can do to assist you to
And
thrive.
we are still keeping the chowder and the fried seafood. We're just bringing on,
I know.
a new book of items to bring in, maybe younger demographic and just, keep it going. So,
Well, we wish you great success.
Absolutely.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments in relation to public hearing on?
Don't lose those fried clams, that's all I can say.
Prices are going up, but I won't lose them.
I'm good with that.
That's okay.
Fried
Anybody in
clams,
the
white
public,
wine.
any of the public have any comments in relation to the applicant? Mr. Simons?
I'd just throw my full support behind Mr. Gressick here. Known him since he was about 6 years old. First grade with my son. He's an upstanding member of the community, and I think this will help his business, and he's really committed to it. Victor's a great guy, and I'd give him my full support.
Thank you. Mrs. Fillmore?
Yeah, Victor's always been a stand-up guy, going out into the community and doing things. He might be behind the scenes, but he's always in there helping out.
Absolutely.
guy.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other comments, public comment? Close the public comment portion of the hearing. Members of the board, any other questions, comments for the applicant? Hearing none, okay. Do we have a motion, Mrs. Moran?
I do. Mr. Chair, I move that the Select Board approve the new on-premises restaurant wine and malt beverage and common victualler licenses for Lobster Claw Seafood, Inc., doing business as Lobster Claw, located at 3 Main Street, North Reading, Massachusetts, as proposed in the submitted application, is subject to all applicable Massachusetts general laws, local bylaws, and approval of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, in compliance with all regulatory department requirements, and further to approve Victor P. Gressick as manager.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Victor,
Congratulations.
thank you. All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good luck.
There you go.
Thank you. Good seeing you.
And I think out of all of the malt and liquor licenses that we've had, you might be the first one to come up and shake everyone's hand, so that's another feather in your cap.
It's a reflection of his upbringing, a good upbringing, had great parents.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I did have, just as we were coming out of the discussion of the item prior relative to the flammable storage, Nick Tuhacek, on behalf of B Prep, raised his hand. I didn't catch it until after we had moved on.
Oh, okay.
He, I believe, represents the applicant. So if it's all right, we did take some comment from the public. I'd like to give him the opportunity to speak as well. It was after the, I think both were raising hands after the votes were taken, but.
Let's continue it.
All right.
Which one, Steve?
Again,
Which
this is
one,
not an
Steve?
adjudicatory hearing, so.
What's that?
This is not an adjudicatory hearing, this is a little bit different.
Yeah, no,
We're
this
outside
is
of that
different.
framework.
Yeah, this is different than, the first hearing is different than this hearing.
So, Mr. Tuhacek, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Wait, what?
I'm actually interested to hear what's in there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. I'm sorry we didn't
Hi,
see
my name
you
is-
at the time.
I can't undo the video.
Oh,
but,
hold on a second, fix
I
it.
can speak.
Try now,
Is this Concord Street?
Yeah.
on the Concord Street.
Yes. Good evening, board. My name is Nick Tuhacek. I'm a property manager with Jones Lang LaSalle, representing the owner, B Prep 29 Concord, 39 Concord. So I'm here doing an application, working with Jennifer McNeil. This is all recommended by the former Deputy Chief Barry Galvin when he was doing a review of 39 Concord Street. He looked through the records and found that at the time my tenants moved in, 2017 was Richelieu at 39 Concord, and back in 1997, Wilson Art into 29 Concord Street. Mayor, the previous owner, did not apply for a land license as part of the tenant's business use. So I'm here to clean up the paperwork on that. So I got word from Jennifer McNeil at 4 o'clock today that we're going to have to do a continuance because the fire department hadn't signed off on the plan review. Right now for 39 Concord Street, the tenant had prepared a plan with the Harrington Group for the hazard material assessment and going through the building department to create a flammable storage room to accommodate the material. So I'm hoping I can wrap this up, it seems, with the new chief, Sean O'Brien, who I'll be reaching out to tomorrow to try and get the plans with for his review, as well as the building inspector, just to make sure that tenants continued operation now for 8 years at Richelieu and for the 29 years for Wilson Art can continue. But we are doing everything we need for monthly inspections at Wilson Art, keeping all the sprinkler systems up to date so there's no hazard risk to the tenants because we are following code. This is just paperwork cleanup. And I hope to present more in person on the February 6th meeting with all the documentation and recommendation from the current chief. Thank you.
Actually, Sean O'Brien is going to be the new captain, who you'll be dealing with, Captain O'Brien. So, not the chief. And that's fine. And again, we appreciate you being here this evening. And unfortunately, we didn't notice your hand being up, and we would have recognized you. We look forward to seeing you on the 9th. Yes, yeah, February 9th, not the 6th,
Ninth,
at 7:45. And in the meantime, I'm sure you're going to have lots of contact with the fire department to ensure that everything's up to code, and the residents here can feel content
I'll
that
try and get some-
everything's safely being handled. Very good.
I'll try to get some emails ready and any comments from Lori Martinez on 21, any abutters on there regarding what our safety is and making sure that's signed off.
All right, so Jen McNeil has your contact information, so
Yes.
that if the residents want to get some clarification as to exactly what's going on and what's being asked, that would be helpful
Yes.
before the public hearing. That'd be great.
She called me at 3:55, told me not to come in person.
Oh, okay. Very good. So we'll see you on the 9th of February.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so we'll have
Happy
his
to.
contact information for you. All right. Next order of business here on the agenda, Mass Municipal Association Annual Meeting. They have proposed a resolution supporting a strengthened fiscal partnership between municipal and state governments for fiscal year 2027 and beyond. Included in your packet was some of the recommendations that not some, but all of the recommendations that the MMA is going to be forwarding to the legislature and the governor with an action plan, which for the most part would assist local communities in meeting some of the responsibilities that we have from a fiscal standpoint, and that looking for the legislature and the governor to share a little bit more and a little bit differently with targeted areas specifically to assist local communities to meet the demands and the costs associated with our operations. So what we're asking for is the chair and, as chair and town administrator is asking for the board's support of the resolution. Town administrator is planning on going to the MMA meeting. It would cast the vote for the town of North Reading in support of the resolution, and then advocate for its passage with Representative Jones and Senator Tarr. So. Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, what will this letter get us? How will it help North Reading?
Did you read the packet? But it would.
I mean, it's just like writing a letter of support for someone, right? Or you know, requesting assistance, or, I mean.
No, it's requesting special legislation, special enactment, special commissions, special, in order to address concerns across the Commonwealth that are shared by cities and towns and municipalities, that in some instances, we believe state government hasn't met their responsibilities and haven't even fulfilled their obligation of the statute, and in others, different approaches as to how to do it, and asking them to strongly consider these changes in order to get more revenue directed directly to cities and towns.
Is this governor focused or House and state legislature focused?
All of the above.
Okay.
It's more legislative, because the governor's not going to get anything unless it comes through the legislature. So it's legislative to the governor.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to throw a few things out there because it's on the agenda. So, Mr. Chairman, our governor is one of the most irresponsible spenders of our tax dollars that this country has seen in a long time, that this state has seen in a long time. The state's budget over the last 3 years since Maura Healey has gone in has gone up 50%. 50% in 3 years. Maura Healey. Now, she also wants to increase your excise tax by 300%. So this is a great. I'll be honest. When I saw this on the agenda, I think I was by myself and I just couldn't stop laughing. You're talking about a governor who spent $5 billion on non-American citizens and housed them, transportation, laundry, food, cell phones. Why are we not getting that, right? That could have, we could have got $10 million out of that if she dispersed all that money around the communities of her state. She chose not to because she's one of the most irresponsible spenders we've ever seen. And we experience it. Each one of us, our pockets, experience it. So I don't get this letter, but I do believe we should be writing a letter to the state legislature and the House and the governor and say, give us our audit. Give us what 72% of the state wants to know how you're spending your money, Mara Healy. 72% asked the state auditor to audit the legislature, and the governor is silent. I mean, talk about people's personal rights. Voting. That is what this country's established on, is voting. And they voted 72%, and 72% in this town of North Reading as well, just about. I think the letter that we should be writing should say, where is our audit? And we would propose a resolution that would support, or that would request Mara Healy to start speaking up about the audit. But I wanted to take that time to point out a few different things that this governor has done. I don't often like to talk about state politics or national politics while I sit here and represent North Reading. But if you're going to talk about giving us more money, Mara Healy, well then, we could have got a lot of money over this past few years, but you've chosen to spend like a drunken sailor. So, I don't know how I could. One, Mara Healy doesn't listen to her own residents, so I'm not sure she's going to listen to this. I'm going to vote no on it, but I would, as I've asked this board before, let's write a letter to have her support the audit. Let's have the legislature, Bruce Tarr, Brad Jones, come on in. Why won't, there's no reason to deny an audit unless you are hiding something, right? What she's hiding is $5 billion and non-American citizens. So I wanted to take that time to say, elections in November of 2026, real change will come at that time, or should come at that time. But thank you.
I think it's worth a shot. That's just how I see it. But I agree. I don't know how far we're gonna get with this. I do think that I do wish the state did a little bit less of federal style, like proportional spending, right? Meaning that what's collected from a community doesn't necessarily get spent in that community. And as we learned with the budget process, unfortunately, one of the downsides of actually becoming wealthier annually from a median income standpoint is that we lose access to grants, right? There's a funding formula, so that's the problem. So I do agree that, again, I mean, no one wants to hear this. I do agree that more money that's paid from North Reading should stay in North Reading. I know that's not the model, but if a bunch of communities getting together will just raise awareness, I think step one, because I do agree, I don't think we're gonna get any more money. They're gonna see the median income of North Reading. We're not. I mean, it just, from a budgeting standpoint, outside of maybe housing, and that's even a maybe, right? Because again, just because, what I've learned, just because we put up housing, right, doesn't mean we're gonna get X, Y, and Z. If a community where the median income is half of North Reading puts it up, they're gonna, it's a different conversation. So, but it's worth a shot. I don't know what effect it will have. Hopefully if enough sign up, but that's my opinion on it. So I do support the letter. I just don't, again, maybe I'm just cynical in general tonight.
Mr. Wallner.
Just a quick question. Besides signing the letter, endorsing it or whatever, what resources do we have to bring to the table to make this actually work out?
So practically, excuse me, what happens is the Mass Municipal Association, the town's entitled to a vote on this resolution. That vote defaults to the Select Board chairperson, who independently has the ability to delegate that authority to somebody else, including a town administrator. That's generally what has happened over the years. Depending upon the year, I am or am not able to attend the annual meeting portion of the MMA conference in January. This year, it looks like I will be able to attend, and so spoke with the chair about casting the vote. And in light of the ongoing discussion with regard to fiscal challenges for the town, I think he felt it was important to have this discussion publicly prior to that designation happening, and I think having a vote in my back pocket to say that it's supported by the entire board is also helpful. Practically, my hand will go up in the air. They will or will not count it if they're counting the votes, and the resolution will pass and will be forwarded to the governor and members of the state legislature.
So that's it, basically representation.
Yeah.
Vocal joint support.
Is what?
Cities and towns, 351 cities and towns, speaking as a group. And again, the MMA is our advocacy group. But again, individually, we should be corresponding with our state rep and our state senator also.
So this isn't new, this
This
has been around for a long time. This is just a more formal.
Yeah, although the MMA did undertake a exhaustive effort to identify certain areas where the legislature should be guided differently, which would have the most significant impact, positive impact fiscally for cities and towns. And this is what they produce as this product. And been advertising it quite heavily in the last 2 months. And this is, the next method is okay. It's being endorsed by the MMA in total, representing all cities and towns, city councils, select boards, mayors. Mayors have their own association. But in forwarding it to the legislature and the governor.
No.
And again,
Isn't costing us anything? Why not?
no, at this point, we do a lot of complaining. And again, we can be as cynical as we want, but if we sit here silently, who do we have to blame but ourselves?
No.
So we have the opportunity to sign on and join with our other colleagues across the Commonwealth and do what we believe is in the best interest of our community. If you don't sign on to it. If you do, you endorse it. And again, no harm, no foul, other than if you sit here silently, don't complain.
Yep.
That's good advice, but people don't take it anyway. They sit silent, then they complain. But that's okay. Part of the process.
Thank you.
Mr. Massey.
Are they just asking for a hand raise? So as in, is this letter really never gonna, where does our signatures go? And if they don't see it, can we just come up with a
There's
consensus?
going to be a public vote here that the Board of Select Board, in some fashion, whether unanimously or by whatever vote, supports and endorses this being forwarded to the legislature through the Mass Municipal Association.
So what you just said did not answer anything in my question, so I'll try again. Can we just come up with a consensus? I'm wondering where our signatures are going, or this vote.
It's not a
Or,
signature.
I'm sorry, Mr. O'Leary, I wasn't done finishing, let me get there. Mr. Gilberto mentioned that the chairman has the power to appoint the town administrator to go.
I'll go myself, right?
So can that happen without the select board vote, and why does the select board need to vote?
I think it's important that the Select Board go on record. If you don't want to be heard, say so.
Okay, so just confirming, that's your opinion, not MMA requirement, correct? Or request?
There are no requirements.
Request. Is this,
They're requesting your participation.
no,
in the
but
process.
you wanted the select board involved? You brought this
I
to the
don't want to
table.
unilaterally exercise a right to vote on behalf of the Select Board of the town of North Reading without a consensus. I don't think that's right. Maybe other people do. I don't.
You certainly have done that elsewhere, but
Oh, okay.
that's okay. Okay.
So if you
Doesn't
don't
matter.
support it,
I do.
don't vote for it.
No,
If you don't want
Steve,
more money
I'm not-
coming to
Steve,
cities
I'm
and
not
towns,
arguing
don't
with you.
vote for it.
Steve, I'm
You-
just asking
I
the
mean, you
process.
made some
Steve.
wild statements there.
But I will say that you wanting to sign this is an admittance of Mara Haley's failures
Oh,
in
I
this
totally
state.
disagree.
And I love it, and I'm actually happy to sign
I actually
it.
totally disagree
I'd
with
love to
pretty
sign
much
with
everything
you,
you said.
to
because
tell her to get in line, tighten up a little, stop spending like a drunken
If you
sailor.
understood the process, you'd understand that she doesn't appropriate the money, it's the legislature that does. She proposes a budget, the legislature actually appropriates the money. She doesn't do that. The legislature does. Our state rep and our state senator appropriate the money that the governor can spend.
Well,
You know,
until I see
so-
the audit, I'll have no
and-
idea what
and
they're
how it's
spending.
spent. And again, it's not the governor that's being audited, it's been requested, it's the legislature.
Until the
It's the
legislature, until we can see where the
legislature. You
money's
keep
being
placing-
spent, how
placing
will
it
we
at the-
know?
Excuse me, you keep placing it at the feet of the governor, and it's not there. It's the legislature that's doing it.
No, she should step up.
It's not her.
She should step up.
So, I mean, you obviously don't understand the process, or you're deliberately misleading and misinterpreting how it works. Either way,
Both.
it's not true. But, that being said,
Two separate
so
branches.
if the board members would like to have the town of North Reading's vote cast at the MMA in support of this resolution, in order to get more money back to the cities and towns, directed back to the cities and towns, then we should be endorsing it. If you don't want us to endorse it, vote no.
Sorry, Your Honor.
So do we have a motion?
Yes, we do have a motion. Mr. Chair, I move that the Select Board approve the proposed Massachusetts Municipal Association resolution supporting a strengthened fiscal partnership between municipal and state governments in fiscal year 2027 and beyond, and further authorize the town administrator to notify the MMA of the board's approval and support.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wall. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Massey?
Mr. Chairman, do you understand, do you have an account of other towns that have signed this?
I do not, nor do I care whether they support it or not. I think this is a good idea. We're proposing it for the board to consider, whether you think it's a good idea or not.
All right.
So if
Mr.
you don't want
Chairman,
it- if you don't think
Mr.
it's a good
Chairman,
idea,
through you
vote
to
no.
the town administrator. Mr. Gilberto, do you know of any other towns that have voted on this?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have not polled other communities to ask what their review or approval process is. I can tell you from my experience, the half dozen times I've been at the annual business meeting, it generally passes unanimously. Sometimes a community will offer an amendment, sometimes that amendment gets heard or doesn't. But it's generally a voice vote or hand vote, unanimously approved.
Well, that's-
Sometimes it takes the form of three, sometimes it's been 3 resolutions this year, it looks like it's only gonna be 1.
All set? Yep. On the motion before us, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those
Aye.
opposed? Abstain?
I'm an aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Appointments. Veterans Event Committee.
Mr. Chairman, in review with the committee and consultation with Mr. Stratton, the chairman, and I'll invite him to speak if he'd like. With some moving around with appointments, and Debbie Aldridge, a longtime member for the Veterans Events Committee, is moving, unfortunately. And in her place, we are promoting Michelle Reed, which is a current associate member, to a voting member.
We have a motion, Mrs. Moran?
We do. Mr. Chairman, I move to nominate the following individuals to the Veterans Event Committee as a full member for a term to expire December 31st, 2028. Arindam Lahiri, Kenneth Ravioli, current associate member, Michelle Reed, current associate member, Paul Sanger, current associate member, Alice Shumsky, and Stephen Schuler.
There's a second by Mr. Massey, correct?
Second. Thank you,
Second
Mr.
by
Chairman.
Mr. Massey. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask Chairman if you'd like to speak on it.
Mr. Stratton, thank you for sticking around.
My name is Rich Stratton, 16 Marshall Street, Chairman of the Veterans Events Committee. I didn't hear the last part of that motion, so could you repeat it, please?
Yes. I move to nominate the following individuals to the Veterans Event Committee as a full member for a term to expire December 31st, 2028. Arindam Lahiri, Kenneth Ravioli, Michelle Reed, Paul Sanger, Alice Shumsky, and Stephen Schuler.
I did not submit Miss Shumsky for associate member. She hasn't accepted that yet. Or Alyssa Shumsky. she plans to attend the next meeting to determine whether she wants to become a part of the committee.
Rich, what happens is anybody who puts in a citizens activity form and offers their services, whether recommended or not recommended by the liaison or the chair of the committee, gets put forward for the consideration of the board. So everybody who put their name in, unless they otherwise say, I don't want to be considered at this particular time, their name gets put forward for consideration. And then the board takes into consideration the liaison and the chair's recommendation. So everybody who put their name in is going to be considered by the board. And then recommendation comes from someone like yourself. We consider that. The board isn't bound by recommendations by liaison or chair. We could, collectively, 3 of us can appoint anybody we want. But obviously liaison assignments and liaisons and chair's recommendations weigh heavily. So, people put in.
You don't see it, but the only highlighted name is Michelle Reed.
Right.
We just have to read everybody who applies.
Nice.
It's the best
Yeah,
way.
so everybody gets considered.
Thank you for that
Recommendation comes in,
explanation.
then we vote.
I
We
appreciate it.
individually vote.
All right, thank you.
Great. Yeah. All right, so we have a motion. I would just like to, again, to Debbie Aldrich, again, thank you for your service and your many years of service to the veterans community and the community as a whole, and we wish her well in her endeavors wherever she's going. She's going somewhere else, which is unfortunate, but, well, I hope she's doing it happily. But we wish her well, and we thank her very much for her service.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, Michelle Reed has been a longtime member as well, and she's been very involved, and she's excited for the opportunity.
Absolutely, and again, we considered Michelle, we were going to consider Michelle back, I think, in September at one point. So, again, she's been an active associate member and being now elevated to a full voting membership. And we're going to get it's all squared away. With this, you're all set. You're going to have 5 full voting members, which is great. All right, so, great. Any other discussion? Hearing none, a roll call vote. Mr. Massey.
Michelle Reed?
Mr. Studo.
Michelle Reed.
Mrs. Moran.
Michelle Reed?
Mr. Wallner.
Michelle Reed.
And the chair votes Michelle Reed. Very good. What do we have next?
Youth Services.
Youth Services.
Mr. Chair, I move to place in nomination the following names for the appointment as a full member to the Youth Services Committee for terms to expire on December 31st, 2028. Thomas Belschner, Joanne Hayes, Stacy McCauley, Brandon Negron, and Klaus Prince.
Is there a second?
I'll second for you.
Mr. Wallner.
Thank you.
Okay, second by Mr. Wallner. Mrs. Moran?
Joan Hayes attended a recent Youth Services Committee meeting and was unanimously recommended by the committee to join as the newest member. And the chair, Peter Majan, has recommended her as well.
Any other discussion? Yep.
Ms. Moran, is this replacement of Shawnee Thomas?
Yes. Yeah. She has resigned from the committee, so Joan Hayes will be the new member.
And again, we want to thank Shani for her services on the Youth Services Committee, and appreciate it very much. Any further discussion on the appointment to the Youth Services Committee? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Mr. Massey?
Joanne Hayes?
Mr. Studo?
Joanne Hayes.
Mrs. Moran?
Joan Hayes.
Mr. Wallner?
Joanne Hayes.
And the chair votes Joanne Hayes. Again, we thank everybody for stepping forward and willing to volunteer. Legal bills.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve legal bills for KP Law for the month of November in the amount of $12,572.60 as follows. General, $9,656.60. Labor, $535.50. 20 Elm Street, 40B, $2,380.50 for a total of $12,572.60.
Second?
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Wallner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Unanimous. Minutes.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the regular session minutes for the November 17th, 2025 meeting.
Motion is made, is there a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Wallner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, unanimous. Mrs. Marr.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the regular session minutes for the December 8th, 2025 meeting.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the regular session minutes for the December 16th, 2025 meeting.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, unanimous. Town Administrator's report.
One more.
Oh, excuse me, one more? What do we
There
got?
was one more. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the regular session minutes for December 22nd, 2025
Oh,
meeting.
sorry, I put a check too quickly.
Second?
I have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, unanimous. Now the town administrator.
Mr. Chairman, through you, just for the record, 9 Mill Street was sold to Gregory B. Hodson for $725,000 on Tuesday, December 30th. I attached a copy of the deed reference for your information, and I want to thank everybody involved in making the speedy closing occur, despite the length of the overall process. We were able to get the property transacted before the end of the year, which was our goal. So thank you to everybody, including Mr. Parisi and all the work he did working towards it. The wastewater treatment plant at Martin's Landing was being seeded last week and will be operational again. The interior tank has been fully repaired and the painting is cured. The delays experienced were due to last-minute unforeseen issues that needed to be addressed. All repairs have been handled by Pulte at Pulte's full expense with no cost to Martin's Landing condominium. Once Pulte has news of the repairs yet to be made on the concrete tanks, a message will be sent out to their community. The Board of Health is scheduled to meet on January 20th and will discuss the independent consultant's findings and assessments, potential consultation with Mass DEP, and any other next steps. I attached a copy of an important safety notice from the State Fire Marshal regarding sparklers and other pyrotechnics indoors. We've distributed copies to our license holders. We're aware of continuing questions regarding a parcel of land along the Ipswich River on Riverside Drive, and we continue to work with Town Council to better understand what options, if any, the town may have to assist. Finally, our health insurance carrier, Mass General Brigham, has informed us that it is working on a potential partnership with Fallon Health and that there will be no immediate changes for our clients and members. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any questions or comments from the town administrator? Hearing none, how about a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, unanimous. Thank you all.